Universities throughout the United States are not only taking sexual assault and rape on campus seriously, apparently they're so worried about their reputation and possibly getting in trouble about students who have mental illnesses that they are literally expelling or kicking students out of their campuses if they have any type of depression or anxiety issues. Now, this was based on a 6-month investigation that was done by NBC's Today, and they spoke to 22 students at 10 different universities throughout the country, and they specifically focused on what's referred to as forced mental leaves. Now, we have 3 videos profiling some stories to give you some more context into this story. Let's take a look at the first one.
At first, college was a dream for Jasmine Wooten.
The cross-country team, really cool humanities course. I was doing so much.
Then she began struggling with depression and tried to harm herself.
I was just scratching myself, really.
Did you want to kill yourself?
No. No, not at all.
Jasmine says she went to the student counseling center at her school, the University of Chicago, seeking help. She was shocked when they immediately sent her to a psychiatric hospital.
It was like, you have to go in the ambulance, which is like really embarrassing.
Just for a few days, Jasmine says they told her, but she was kept in the hospital for 2 weeks, then sent straight to a meeting with school officials who told her she had to leave campus immediately.
They just handed me this contract saying I had to move all my stuff out of my dorm in 48 hours, and they were just kept pressuring me to just sign it.
Do you feel it was voluntary?
No.
So what happens is they feel stressed. I think a lot of students who go to college feel stressed sometimes, and they take advantage of the resources they have on campus. Oftentimes student fees pay for the health center so they can get counseling if they need it. And then they go and they are vulnerable. They present to a counselor what they're going through. And in some cases, they're forced to check into a mental institution, or they're forced to leave the campus or leave the school. And look, I want to be clear about something. It's unclear as to how widespread this is, but based on this investigation, they found numerous cases of the school just being so afraid of them having some sort of, depression issue that they didn't even want to deal with it. They just got rid of them.
So I think that there is a legitimate concern, and that concern is about violence on campus. So if you've got someone with some mental issues, whatever they might be, and they have access to weaponry, we've seen that that has not ended well. Mm-hmm. And so oftentimes after a shooting, people will talk about mental health and how come nobody did anything about it. I don't want you to get me wrong. I'm presenting that side, and now if a college were to be overly cautious, if there was a situation with someone with mental health and they went to the counselor and said they were thinking of committing violence against others, okay, there's a moment where you would consider being overly cautious. Or they have weapons.
Right.
Then yes, please be cautious. On the other hand, we can't have an overreaction where you go, they have legitimate mental issues, which, by the way, a lot of us do, right? Depression is enormously common. Well, then you're throwing them under a bus, and they came to you for help, and you're ratting them out, and you're sending them off, and it's not my problem, it's your problem. Well, that's not fair. So it is fair to ask for balance. I know it's not easy, but we need, you're a giant university, we need you to be able to use judgment to say, hey, here's a person who needs help that came to us for help, and let's do that. Right. And here's a person who's genuinely dangerous. Let's remove that danger for the moment being, and then assess the situation and see if we can have them back, et cetera, right? Based on their reporting that I'm seeing here, she didn't appear to be dangerous to others.
No, not. And by the way, look, let's go to the third video actually, because there was an expert that they spoke to, and the expert explained exactly why these universities react the way that they do. Let's go to the third video.
Psychiatrist Victor Schwartz, the former medical director of NYU's counseling service, says this is a difficult balancing act for schools.
They are concerned about the potential risk of suicide, which, for one thing, is a bad PR problem for the school.
Do you think this makes campuses safer?
If it works for getting students the care they need, it does. If it works to discourage students from going to the counseling service because they're afraid of being sent home against their will, then it's actually a terrible message.
So they're worried about, look, I think to some extent, they might be worried if someone has some sort of issue that they could be violent. But I think more than anything, based on all the different stories we've covered about sexual assault and rape on campus, they're worried about their reputation. They want to make sure that applicants and enrollment remains high. They want to make sure that they have enough money for their endowment. And nothing harms the university more than bad publicity.
And it's true that suicides, right or wrong, do harm a school's reputation. My editor in the college newspaper committed suicide, and it got a lot of press, and I'm sure that they were embarrassed. But what's there to be embarrassed about? A certain percentage of the population has depression. A certain percentage of the population goes to certain colleges. And to me, that has nothing to do with anything. And so it's not like the colleges are encouraging it, except by doing this, where they might not go to counselors, right? And I know some schools have more of a reputation, like Cornell. So they have those they have the bridges over the canyons and stuff, and people jump off, and they're known for like, oh, that's the place where people jump off the bridge. And
really?
Yeah.
Wow.
And into the gorges, I believe. So them being extra cautious to help people, not to do this, not to kick them off campus, would be more understandable because it is a very specific issue for them. But go in that direction instead of, not my problem, your problem, get out of here. That should give you bad PR, because then do you really want to go to a school like that?
I know, ironically, this ended up as bad PR for these schools. And again, NBC did talk to 22 students at 10 different universities who have experienced similar treatment. That doesn't mean that this is a widespread, prevalent issue, but I think that it happens often enough that we need to address it and do something about it. This country is abysmal when it comes to dealing with mental health issues, right? We love to talk about mental health issues when it comes to mass shootings, so we can make sure that no one talks about gun control. That's not the problem, mental health issues. But we never want to fund it. We never want to train people appropriately to deal with it. It's just a talking point that gets regurgitated after every mass shooting, and that's it.
Now, on a lighter note, I now cannot bear how television does their reporting packages. Like the focusing in and out, the walk along. Why are you guys walking? Where are you going?
The squinty eyes from the reporter.
The squinty eyes.
Yeah,
like, and how did that make you feel? Right? Like, okay.
It seems very patronizing or something.
Yeah. You know what it feels like? Fake.
It
feels fake. Like you didn't have a real conversation with that woman. You did your soft lighting and your mood music to get people to go, oh. And then the jump cut at one point, like the school then sent her away. Like, okay, all right, I can't take it anymore.